The receipt said I arrived at 2:17 a.m. The clock above the counter said 1:42, and the man behind the register had no reflection. I was running on fumes, both the car and myself. The highway had been empty for hours, a long black vein cutting through miles of dead land. No radio signal, no phone bars, just the hum of tires and the quiet pressure of being watched by nothing at all. Then I saw it. A gas station. One flickering sign in the distance, open 24 hours. The 24 blinked on and off like it was breathing. I told myself I was relieved. I told myself anything to stop my hands from shaking as I pulled in. The place looked wrong the moment my headlights hit it. The building was too clean for somewhere this remote. The windows glowed a pale yellow, but the light didn't spill outward. It stayed trapped inside, like it was afraid to leave. 3 pumps stood outside. Only pump number 4 worked. The others had their hoses cut clean through, like someone had sliced them deliberately. The wind stopped when I stepped out of the car. Not slowed, stopped. No crickets, no insects, no distant traffic, just silence. As I started fueling, I noticed the smell. Not gasoline, something sweeter, rotten, like old meat left in the sun and sprayed with perfume to hide it. The digital numbers on the pump ticked backward once, then corrected themselves. I laughed nervously. "Get a grip," I whispered to myself. That's when the doorbell rang. Ding! I hadn't seen anyone open the door. Inside, behind the counter, stood a man. Tall, too tall. His head nearly brushed the ceiling, yet his posture was wrong, slouched, like gravity pulled on him harder than the rest of us. He wore a faded uniform with a name tag that read SAM, though the letters looked scratched in by hand. His smile was wide, too wide. "Late night," he said. His voice didn't echo. It didn't even sound like it traveled through air. It felt like it appeared directly inside my skull. "Yeah, just passing through," I replied. "Everyone is," he said. I grabbed a bottle of water from the cooler. My reflection in the glass looked pale, tired. But behind me, where the clerk should have been standing, nothing. I turned. He was still there, still smiling. "Cash or card?" he asked. I handed him my card. His fingers brushed mine. Cold. Not just cold, empty, like touching a freezer after it's been unplugged for years. The card reader beeped once, then twice, then flashed, declined. "That's strange," I said. "I just used it earlier." He tilted his head. I heard a faint crack like dry wood splitting. "Cards don't work here," he said. "Time doesn't either." I froze. He slid a receipt across the counter. I hadn't paid. The paper was already warm. At the top, it read, "Arrival, 2:17 a.m. Departure, dash." Below that, a list of items I hadn't bought. 1 full tank, 1 memory, 1 regret. My mouth went dry. I didn't. The lights flickered. For half a second, the station wasn't a station anymore. The walls were blackened, the floor was sticky, the smell intensified, burnt flesh, melted plastic. Shadows were burned into the walls like photographs, people-shaped shadows. Then the lights stabilized. The man leaned closer. "You've been here before," he whispered. Images slammed into my mind. A crash, headlights, fire, me screaming inside a car that wouldn't open. I staggered back, knocking over a rack of chips. The bags burst open, but instead of chips, ashes spilled out. "I need to leave," I said. His smile faded. "No one leaves," he said softly. "They just finish pumping." Outside, the gas pump was still running. The numbers spun wildly now, gallons far beyond what my tank could hold. The hose began to pulse like a vein. Thick, dark liquid slithered inside it, not gasoline, blood. The ground beneath the pump was soaked, but none of it touched my shoes. I ran to my car. The doors were locked. Inside, someone was sitting in the driver's seat. It was me, burned, charred, mouth open in a silent scream. The station lights went out. In the darkness, the clerk's voice surrounded me. "This is where people stop when they're not ready to know they're dead." The receipt fluttered on the hood of my car. Departure time filled in. 2:17 a.m. The engine started on its own. The road reappeared ahead of me, stretching into darkness. When I looked back, there was no gas station, just a scorched patch of land and a sign half buried in dirt. Closed since 1996. I checked my fuel gauge. Full. I've been driving ever since, because every time I slow down, I see the sign again, open 24 hours, and this time, it's calling my name. The bathroom key was chained to a human jawbone, and the clerk said it was still warm. I hadn't planned to stop. The fuel light had been on for 40 minutes, blinking like a warning from a dying heart. The road was a single black strip slicing through nothing. No towns, no houses, no radio stations. Just static and the occasional whisper that sounded almost like a voice if you were tired enough. Then the gas station appeared. It didn't rise into view the way buildings normally do. It was just there. One second the road was empty, the next there was a cracked concrete lot and a sign that read, "Full service, open all night." Only the word "all" was lit. The rest flickered like it didn't want to be seen. I pulled in. The air felt heavy, like before a storm, but the sky was clear. My headlights hit the pumps, old, rusted, from another decade. One of them had caution tape wrapped around it, yellow and rotting. Another was leaning slightly, as if it were tired of standing. Pump number 6 clicked on by itself. The handle swung slowly, knocking against the metal with a dull clang, clang, clang. I swallowed. "Hello?" I called out. No answer. The convenience store windows were fogged from the inside. Handwritten signs were taped to the glass. No loitering, no photos, no questions after midnight. It was 2:03 a.m. The door opened before I touched it. Ding! The smell inside hit me first. Gasoline, mildew, something metallic and sweet. The lights buzzed loudly, flickering just enough to make my eyes ache. Shelves were half empty, stocked with brands I didn't recognize. Some cans had expiration dates scratched out entirely. Behind the counter stood the clerk. He looked normal at first, middle-aged, thin, greasy hair slicked back like he'd been underwater. His uniform was stained dark around the collar. "Fill up?" he asked. His eyes didn't blink. "Yeah," I said, "regular." He nodded once, too slowly. "Your car still running?" "No."
should have kept it running. A chill crawled up my spine. Why? Easier that way, he said. The lights dimmed for a moment, and I noticed something behind him, a door where there shouldn't have been one, metal, thick, like a freezer door. Scratches covered the surface, deep and frantic. I pointed. "What's that?" He glanced back, then smiled. "Storage." A sound came from behind the door. A thump, then another. Something scraped slowly from the inside. I backed away. "Actually, I don't need—" "Bathroom's outside," he interrupted. "Keys by the register." I looked down. The key was attached to a thick chain. The chain was attached to a human jawbone. Teeth yellowed, one cracked in half. "That's a joke, right?" I whispered. He leaned closer. "It was," he said. "Once." The thumping behind the door got louder. I realized the scratches on the metal were nail marks, layered on top of each other, old and new. "I'm leaving," I said. His smile vanished. "No," he said. "You haven't paid yet." "I didn't pump gas." "Yes, you did." Outside, the pump started screaming. Not beeping, screaming. I ran. The hose from pump number 6 had wrapped itself around my car, pulsing like a living thing. Black liquid spilled onto the concrete, writhing instead of pooling. My fuel gauge climbed past full, past the limit, into numbers that didn't exist. On the windshield, handprints appeared from the inside, dozens, pressing outwards. The clerk stood in the doorway now, his body stretching unnaturally tall, his arms hanging too long. "Everyone pays," he said. "Some with money, some with time." The freezer door burst open. Something fell out. A man, naked, pale, skin blistered like he'd been burned, then frozen again. His mouth opened wide, wider than possible, and he screamed. I slammed into the driver's seat. The engine wouldn't start. The screaming stopped. Silence. Then, a knock on my window. 3 slow taps. The clerk's face was inches from mine. Up close, I saw the truth. His skin wasn't skin. It was layered, stitched, different tones sewn together badly. "You broke down here once," he said, softly. "Years ago. Died on this road. We kept you." My head filled with memories that weren't memories. Being dragged, being drained, being refilled. "Tonight," he said, "you almost remembered." The engine roared to life. The hose snapped off. I hit the gas and didn't look back. At dawn, I checked my receipt. There was no price, just one line. "Thank you for your service." I Googled the location later. The station burned down in 1989. 6 people vanished there. Their cars were found with full tanks, still warm. And every time my fuel light comes on now, I smell that sweetness again. And somewhere, far behind me,